What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Gooner channel, a channel 100% dedicated to Arsenal Football Club, who, as we all know, are by far the greatest team the world has ever seen. In this video, I'm going to finally be talking about a transfer story that just will not go away. It's been an ever-present in both the last two transfer windows, and it is almost talked about now as a fait accompli. And in the last couple of days, that's escalated even further. I am, of course, talking about the transfer of Declan Rice to Arsenal. Now, what's happened in the last couple of days, a couple of news stories have come out. One, Manchester United seemingly pulling away from their interest in Declan Rice, principally, as they put it, because it seems like it's already a done deal and that Declan Rice has already given his word to Arsenal that he will move there in the summer. The other reason that it's current is that Gabby Jesus celebrated his 26th birthday a couple of days ago and had a small informal party with the other Arsenal players and Declan Rice. Now, I don't know, it seemed like a pretty tame affair, you know, bit of cake, bit of barbecue, nothing too raucous. But the question would have to be, why is Declan Rice there? Now, we know he's friends with Bukayo Saka, and he was seen warmly exchanging conversation with Alexander Zinchenko at the end of the England-Ukraine match. But as far as I know, there weren't any other players from other teams there, and it's right in the pivotal part of the season. So again, it wouldn't have been a lavish, an extravagant or raucous affair. Does look very much like, and let me put it to you this way, it isn't necessarily so much that he was there, it's more that the fact he was there was allowed to get out. That I know from the interview you did with Gary Neville, Declan Rice takes care of all of his own social media, but this is something that you would want to manage more carefully if you didn't want to send the wrong signs. It feels an awful lot like Declan Rice has made his decision and has given his verbal agreement. So the question for Arsenal fans really is, well, first of all, is he good enough for Arsenal? What price tag are we prepared to pay or meet to sign Declan Rice? And where would we be looking at playing him? And so those are the three questions I'm going to look at. Now, I have my own personal view on this one, and that is to say that wherever you look in world football, the great teams all have great defensive midfielders. We have Thomas Partey, and we all know how much better we play with him in the team than without him. At Bayern München, they have Joshua Kimmich. Obviously, Manchester City have Rodri. Man United fans can't stop going on about Casemiro and the difference he makes when he's playing. Verratti and Brozovic at PSG and Inter. Tchouaméni at Real Madrid. Although that's another thing that we're going to come back to because there has been speculation around him as well. And of course, Chelsea really splashed the cash, breaking transfer records for Enzo Fernandez. So clearly, with the Arsenal obvious and reported interest in Moses Caicedo and looking to offer 70 to 80 million for him, and Jude Bellingham looking like this season he will go for what is likely to be around 150 million. This is going to give us some kind of idea of market value. How does Declan Rice compare against those? Well, we're all going to have our own different opinions. If you look at the statistics, though, well, let's look at what kind of player Declan Rice actually is. Defensive midfielder, great range of passing with both feet, good at reading the game, a really intelligent footballing brain, and somebody who can maraud forward when necessary, although his goal contribution is really not his strength. Certainly, the more defensive side of the game, and he started his career as a centre-back, but the more defensive side of his game is really where he stands out. If you compare him with the likes of Fabinho and Rodri, you see that his interceptions are considerably higher. And in that kind of destructive breaking up the game and then playing a simple pass to keep things moving, very reminiscent of the role that Thomas Partey plays. He could easily play in Xhaka's position, and he could certainly be a good understudy for Thomas Partey. And we know as Arsenal fans that Thomas Partey has not managed a full season. He's already played as many games this season as he managed in the two previous seasons, so things are looking better, but he's not going to get to more than 33 games this season. And so we're always going to need somebody who can step in and deputise for him, particularly as he's not getting younger. Granit Xhaka with a fantastic engine and is ever present and never seems to need a break. But if we lose one of those two, we are looking at El Neni when he's fit or Jorginho. So, yes, it seems that at the age that Declan Rice is, 24, he has the best 5 or 6 years of his career most likely ahead of him or just ahead of him. And he's somebody who has great leadership and great communication. One of the things I really liked about Declan Rice was in yesterday's thumping from Newcastle, they got beat 5-1. At the end of the game, the stand was as empty as Tottenham's trophy cabinet. And hardly anyone would have wanted to come out and do an interview, but Declan Rice came out and spoke really well and really honestly. I've always been impressed by him when I've heard him speak. And it's no secret that he's highly ambitious and does not want to think about spending the rest of his career without winning silverware. He came so close with England and he has a taste for success.
I really want to, keep pushing. Like you said, I see my friends here who are playing Champions League, winning the big trophies. You only get one career, and at the end of your career, you want to look back and by what you've won and the biggest games you've played in. And I'm really ambitious, and I really want to do that.
I suppose at the age that he is, the only other thing that I need to look at here in terms of is he good enough for Arsenal? I think he does get into the side. Maybe it would be a transitional period of 6 months to a year, but I think once he's in the side, he probably would earn that spot, either Granit Xhaka or Thomas Partey stepping aside. And let's face it, that doesn't have to happen in the first year. But the other concern would be, does he get in the way of a Charlie Patino or a Miles Lewis-Skelly? Both of whom, look, Charlie Patino, well liked by the Blackpool fans, hasn't been good enough to keep them from what looks like inevitable relegation, but has played really well and has really shown what he's capable of. There have been a couple of others, Miguel Aziz on loan as well. We do have players in the Arsenal Academy who look like they're going to burst forth in that position, but that's why having somebody who's 24 is a good transitional. One of those could partner him. Certainly, we also know that Emile Smith-Rowe is being repurposed in the Granit Xhaka position. We have Fabio Vieira who can play there. We have to bolster a squad which is not quite strong enough. And one of the key areas it's not strong enough at the moment is defensive midfield. So even if we have great players coming through, we do need to go out there and sign a player. And when it comes to great world-class defensive midfielders, the efforts we make to sign Moses Caicedo, for me, I don't see him as comparable in ability to Declan Rice. That's something we can agree or disagree on. But if Moses Caicedo is having 70 and 80 million pound bids rejected, and Brighton actually, someone at Brighton in the board came out and said that would only buy one half of Moses Caicedo. So they're already talking about him in the 140 million pound mark. And he has just signed a new contract. Enzo Fernandez has already mentioned, whopping signing, and I don't think he's played enough games to be definitely better than Declan Rice. Now, Jude Bellingham is the exception here. The only way I would think that we should not be going after Declan Rice if we have a realistic opportunity to sign Jude Bellingham, because Jude Bellingham, for my money, is the better player. I think he's England's best prospect. He's only 19 years old, and he is a once-in-a-generation talent as far as I'm concerned. Ideally, let's sign both of Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham and slowly transition them in for Granit Xhaka and Thomas Partey and have a real stab at the Champions League. But I mentioned Tchouaméni, who went to Real Madrid for 85 million last year and hasn't really settled in the way they wanted him to. He's played 22 times. I think a lot of he's divided fans of Real Madrid, but most of them, I think, would be happy to give him more time. The rumours are, and the gossip is, that Tchouaméni is being offered up for sale for 65 million. This is all going to be complicated by the fact that we don't really know who the manager at Real Madrid is going to be, and we don't really know, therefore, who he's going to want in the team and who he's going to want out of the team. But Declan Rice versus Tchouaméni, I think I'd go for Declan Rice for the same reason that I was glad we went for Trossard over Mudryk, because somebody who already we've had a chance to see a lot of in the Premiership and who's had a chance to see a lot of the Premiership. So what will he cost? Well, Enzo Fernandez, the 130 to 140 million mark. Moses Caicedo is being talked about in the 140 million mark. Jude Bellingham, almost certainly 150 million. So West Ham could look at that and be asking for that kind of money. The talk, though, is that it's around 100 million. And given that we are short in that position, he would be an improvement, if not immediately in the long term. yes, I do think the price tag will be a slight issue. Breaking our record for any player is going to put a little pressure on him. But if he's already at birthday parties with the other players, then I think he'll settle in really well. I think he would be a welcome addition to the team, and I think we're likely to sign him. It has felt like that. It's unusual for Arsenal. We tend not to do our business in public in the way we have done, or seem to have allowed to be done, with Declan Rice. It's not necessarily that anyone's come out and said anything. It's more just the fact that they haven't actually shut that down in the way that Bayern Munich did, for example, when it was reported that Declan Rice's agents. Now, he doesn't actually have agents, so I don't know if this story is complete fabrication. And you sometimes have to wonder with all of these transfer stories if somebody just sits down making all this up. But it is reported that people purporting to represent Declan Rice had met with Bayern, and that was shut down. So it didn't happen. Declan Rice has said on several occasions that he wants to play Champions League football, but it's also clear that he wants to stay in and around London. So that really only leaves us and Chelsea. And with the Chelsea in the state they're in, I don't know if Lampard's going to be signing more players. Apart from anything, Declan Rice isn't a winger, so why would they want him? But I think that the turmoil at Chelsea, until they know who they're getting in, might put them behind us. And I think, reading between the lines, reading everything I have been, it does look like Declan Rice is coming to Arsenal. I want to hear from you. Are you looking forward to it? Do you think he's a step up on what we have? Would you keep him, bench him, sell him? I know we haven't got him yet, but I'd love to hear from you. My personal opinion is I really like Declan Rice. I enjoy watching him play. I think he would fit perfectly into the team. I think he's got great character, great footballing intelligence, 2-footed, and that's so Arsenal, isn't it? And somebody who I think will go on and win things throughout his career, and I'd love to see him do it at Arsenal. And as for the 100 million price fee, look, it's not my money. So, yeah, spend it. I don't know who you're going to get cheaper than that, unless you do go for Tchouaméni and you sign Tchouaméni for 70 million and it doesn't work out, and you're going to kick yourself you didn't go for the more safe option of Declan Rice. It is obviously always conceivably possible that Declan Rice isn't going to cost us 100 million plus. But as I said, it isn't my money. Have at it. Have at it, Josh and Stan. Buy everybody you can. Anyway, listen, that's been my opinions on Declan Rice. I'd love to hear what you think. Declan Rice to Arsenal this summer. Be lucky and lots of love.